Hello, beautiful people. I'm just going to attach this microphone. This is what all the cool kids do nowadays. So I'm going to do this, and hopefully this picks up pretty good. I'm really excited to do this video for you. This is like my bread and butter. I love sleep routines. So grab yourself a cup of tea, chamomile preferably, and plug in and let's go through this. This might be a long video. So, my story with sleep. When I was withdrawing of drugs, I found that the anxiety and the panic attacks were just horrendous. It was out of this world. I would be literally up at 11 a.m., full of anxiety all through the day, constant panic attacks, and then as it got towards nighttime, I would be full of anxiety about the night and being able to sleep. It was absolutely a horrific time for me. So, the more I was coming off the drugs and going through the withdrawals and all the pharmaceuticals, the more that my neurotransmitters were trying to balance and was like, you do not feel safe here. And it was actually the day when I was doing the least. So it was actually when I felt the most stuff and emotions come up the most. You may hear a bulldog snoring in the background. So if you do, I apologize, but this is going to be a thing you're going to have to get used to. So I apologize for that. So yeah, it was a really tough time for me, and it was actually the first area that I even dove into 10 years ago with sleep, because it was something that I needed to fix and work on and understand fully about circadian rhythms and optimization and nervous system, and everything else was involved in this stuff. So I've got about 10-15 steps here that are going to really help you in regards to optimizing your sleep and why you maybe are waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning. What can you do about that? Or maybe you have trouble getting off to sleep because your mind's all going, or you have trouble staying asleep and you're waking up in the middle of the night, right? So this is hopefully going to give you some of that gold. Now, one thing I will say, there's a lot of information I'm going to be throwing at you, so you can take down some notes and you can go with the things that feel right for you with your routine. Now, I understand there's going to be people with kids and there's going to be people with busy lives, so just do what feels right to you. You know, don't feel that you have to do all of this. I just want to give you all of the tools and all of the resources so that you can go away with it and then make your own decision on Arnold snoring, and make your own decision on what you feel is going to be right for you. Because otherwise you might be like, oh, I've got all this routine and all this stuff, but remember that all routines are flexible, they're fluid, they are intuitive. Some days when I'm feeling really heightened, I might only go and do some yin yoga, I might do some TRE, or I might jump in the sauna, or I might have a hot shower or an Epsom salt bath, or I might do none of those and I'll just go and meditate for a bit and purge my mind a little, something along those lines. So pick whatever feels right to you. But what I will say is, if you are struggling with sleep and getting it, maybe try all of them. You know, get into this whole routine. So getting started, really the first part is making sure that we're getting sunlight first thing in the morning. Now, when we get sunlight first thing in the morning, we are kickstarting our circadian rhythm. So when the light hits our eyes and our optical part of the lobe of our eyes, it signals to our brain that to start producing melatonin for the evening. So it's like, okay, we're here, cortisol comes up, spikes in our body, it's like we're ready for the day now, but it also starts the ticking clock for your circadian rhythm meaning your alarm clock for sleep-wake cycles. And everyone's will be different depending on your ancestry and nervous system and everything else. But if you wake up first thing in the morning, get some sunlight, you're going to be good to go. I will then say, if you live in a place where it's bad weather, like I used to live in the UK and I used to live in Wales and the weather was terrible, what I would suggest you do is get yourself a red light therapy device. Get yourself an RLT device and get in front of that first thing in the morning. The red light's going to give you loads of benefits, as well as just actually the light exposure first thing in the morning. But getting that all over your body first thing in the morning is going to be great anyway. If the weather is really bad, sometimes if the weather's bad here in Australia, I will just jump on and jump in front of the red light. So do one of those two really would be the best thing. Secondly, I would say grounding as well. Grounding is probably one of the most important things that we can do during the day, as well as exercise. So maybe going for a walk barefoot for 15-20 minutes. I go and walk the dog in the evening, where I will actually just have no shoes or socks on no matter what the weather is, to ground my body. The grounding also signals to the body of reducing inflammation and getting your circadian rhythm also flowing and moving. But say you have no time, you get up at work and you're sort of in a rush and you want to get outside. Maybe just get outside for 10 minutes, have your morning drink, have your water, your hydration, or whatever it is that you like to consume first thing in the morning, and maybe just have your feet on the ground. Or if you're on a lunch break or whatever you're doing, just take your shoes and socks off, put your feet in the ground. That's the grounding, and you're getting sunlight and daylight exposure. Even if you've got clouds, you're still going to be getting that sunlight exposure anyway. So they're the first things that you would do during the beginning of the day that's actually going to kickstart it. So people are like, oh, what's that got to do with sleep? But actually it's one of the most important steps, is getting that light and making sure we're grounded during the day. There are other components of exercising during the day and moving your body that helps with sleep. But, you know, if you're moving, it depends on where you're at your stage of your healing journey. Maybe you're struggling with fatigue, maybe you're bedbound, or maybe that you are super active. If you are doing whatever movement feels right to you, I would say just doing some form of movement is going to help your sleep. But if you are pushing with chronic fatigue or certain chronic pain, then I wouldn't say go and push it, but just some movement is going to help. Even just doing a little bit of the lymph massage. As we move then on into the evening and the sun starts to go down, what we're really going to want to start looking at is the winding down. This is the yin time of the day. This is like during the day we're in that yang energy, that masculine energy of do, get busy, succeed, hunt the food that we're meant to do for our ancestors, going out hunting, foraging. That's collecting the money and going to work and doing the busy things. That's that yang energy, that masculine energy that we're sort of told that we need to push in this culture. Yin energy, which I believe in our society we have a massive yin deficiency of slowing down and actually starting to cool and bring yourself down and soothe yourself. So as the sun goes down and the moon starts to rise, that is the key for you to be able to start bringing in some of this yin energy. So I tend to say, if you see the lamp behind me, it's like an amber light. All my lamps are amber, so amber bulbs. I get these bulbs from blockbluelight.com. You can get them anywhere, but if you just type them in, bulbs, amber, red light bulbs, you'll be able to find them. And what these do is, I use a red light for my bedroom, which is not the same as the red light device, it's just a red bulb. Red light shows that if you sit in red light with nothing else for 20 to 30 minutes, it drops cortisol by half. So just going into your bedroom with that red light, you should see, if someone walked into my bedroom at night, the whole room is red, and I have mouth tape on, nose openers and masks and everything. It's just, it's probably funny for people that ever come over and stay. It's mad. So I would say get yourself some amber lights and get yourself some red lights. This is going to soothe your nervous system and start bringing you into that yin energy more. Try not to have lights on above you, because the lights above you direct to your body that the sun is still out. So it's like, oh, the sun is still out, so we're going to still keep producing that cortisol. That blue light is still going to be producing that cortisol within the body and not producing the melatonin you need to start winding down. Especially when we're using devices or TV or phones, try to set them to an amber part of the screen. So like it's just got that amber, so it blocks a lot of the blue light. Try and do that on your laptop, try and do it on your TV, try and do it on your phone. If that's not necessarily an option, I would still suggest everyone buys a pair of blue blocking glasses. This is going to help your body signal to your brain that, okay, the sun is down, the moon is up, and I'm now going to start producing the melatonin I need so I can start to sleep deeply. If you have got your eyes out and no glasses, and you've got this blue light in front of you, like I've got a light in front of me now, it's going to be signaling to me to still produce cortisol because it still thinks the sun is out. So putting on those blue blocking glasses is going to be a game changer, because it's like, okay, now, I can start to relax and start to calm down. And I recommend doing that at least 2 hours before bedtime. That's probably like one of the biggest game changers that I will say for most people. Just putting on some glasses is super easy. It's a bit weird if you want to watch TV or you want to watch something on the laptop because everything's super red, but really that's sort of like the leveling scale you're gonna need to pick for yourself there. Going with those blue blocking glasses will be really, really great for our sleep cycles in general. And it was something that was the first thing that I entered into my routine. A nice little sip of tea. Look at that for a cup. I'm such a geek. as we step into the evening routine and you got your blue blocking glasses on, your room wants to be like a bear cave. It wants to be cold, it wants to be dark, and it wants to be noiseless. Okay, so we don't want it cold, but we want it to be cool. We don't want it to be like any LED lights in it or any lights whatsoever, because that's all going to be distracting to our circadian rhythm and the melatonin production about what I was talking earlier. So really wanting to bring it to a cool. So if you've got that ability to make sure your room is cool, maybe you've got some air conditioning or an air purifier unit or anything along those lines, if you're in a hot country, making sure that it is cool. So keeping a window open during the day, etc. Make sure, because this will help our body temperatures drop, which helps us go to a deeper stage of sleep. I will then say that I think it's important that we don't have noise. So I'd like to preferably use some type of white noise. Now I don't use devices, so I do use my laptop, but I make sure it's on airplane mode and there's no Wi-Fi connected to it. And I just downloaded a couple of white noises that I enjoyed, like maybe the sea, or maybe some brown noise. They've all been shown to reduce noise in the brain, to soothe that. If you're a bit of an overthinker, the brown noise or 528 hertz or these different noises that are able to soothe the brain and start to level it out a little bit. So it blocks out any of the noise. Like say for example, you've got a dustbin man picking up your bins at 5 in the morning, or someone slams their car door at 2 a.m. That's gonna, even though you may not wake up, it's gonna cause micro waking up. So just having that noise in the background will just help. That's what's great for babies, so why is it not great for us, right? Another big one that people start to think I'm putting my tinfoil hat on with you is turning off your Wi-Fi before bed. Now, Wi-Fi bouncing around the whole house in the middle of the night when it's not really needed is pointless. You know, we've shown that Wi-Fi emits huge amounts of RF radiation and EMF. So if you're not using it in the night, turn it off. You'll get such a better sleep. If you are one of those people that the Wi-Fi is right next to your head, 100% turn it off. If you are in a shared house and it is difficult for you to turn that Wi-Fi off, as a lot of my clients have come up with, I would recommend getting yourself like a little Wi-Fi cage, like a Faraday type cage that goes around the Wi-Fi router and that blocks a lot of the EMF. I will still would say it's better to turn it off, but to make it a little bit better for you, especially if you're going through chronic symptoms or chronic health, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, sleep is probably the most important step for you. So turning the Wi-Fi off at night is going to be a game changer. So if we can just do it, awesome. Next, I will say making sure that we are turning off our plug sockets by the side of the bed or what's behind the wall of the bed. So for example, I was living in a property before where I had a big power box right behind my head. And I actually put an EMF detector and an RF frequency device right next to it, and it was just emitting huge amounts of like power because it was the power box for the whole house going there. So what I ended up doing actually was going out before bed and switching the whole mains light switch off. And that's switched the whole electric off, which is probably a bit extreme for a lot of you, but actually my sleep went next level in regards to how deep I was going because there was no power around my head. Now we've shown that all those electric points can actually interfere with our sleep cycle, and they can actually cause inflammation on a very subtle level constantly if we're sleeping on that electricity. So making sure we're just turning off, especially if you've got those bedside lamps and stuff, just flick them off. I've got so many notes, it's unbelievable. So I want to make sure I give you all of these things here. Before we go into the bedroom, we're actually going to sleep. I think what's important to talk about is diet just before bed. So making sure our blood sugars are not all over the place. So stopping at least 3 hours before bed, your last meal before bed is going to help with blood sugars, and making sure you haven't got a really highly glycemic spiking dinner, so high carb dinner or high sugar dinner, because your blood sugars are going to spike and then they're going to drop while you're sleeping. So that's probably going to be one of the biggest parts there, making sure that we're not having blood sugars massively bumping up our blood sugars, and that's changing our cortisol levels. The next thing I will say to you as well is that if we have 3 hours before bed, our lymphatic system, which is our brain's lymphatic system, is then able to drain. And our brain can't do that if we've got food in our stomach, and it will only do that in the middle of the night. And this is probably one of the most important things for brain fog and cognitive function, is making sure that we are having at least 3-4 hours of no food in our stomach before we go to sleep. And not only are we going to be getting deeper sleep. Arnold, come on boy, come on, yeah, thank you dude, Okay, so as we're getting into the bedroom state and we're trying to wind down the body, some of the exercises that I like to do are for different occasions. Let's say, for example, you've got a really busy mind and it's like non-stop rattling on. I think the best thing that we can start to do is do something called a mind dump, where you just get a pen and paper and you just dump everything that's on your mind so it comes out of your body and onto that pen and onto that paper. Everything you're worrying about, everything you're overthinking about, just everything. Just journal it all down, just pull it all down onto that bit of paper and just start to get it out of that brain and into your body and out onto that bit of paper. Then I would like to start looking at brainwave states. We want to start bringing down from that beta brainwave where we're constantly busy, constantly thinking, and we want to start bringing that down into that alpha and start into that calming, soothing. The thoughts aren't as like rapid, they're just slower. So I like to do that with like some evening qigong, which I'll do a video for you, as well as like some meditation. I like anything that I want to do for 15 for 20 minutes. It normally takes 20 minutes for the mind to really drop in. You'll just feel that change where it just soothes and the brain starts to slow down and the thoughts are just a little bit slower. And that's really what we're wanting to do, is trying to bring down those brain waves, especially when we've been busy all day. Just bringing down those brain waves there. Then I like to start to open up the body or stretch the body. So doing some yin yoga. Yin yoga is longer form poses of yoga. It's something that I recommend for all of my clients that have pain or fatigue or anything along those lines. It's just longer holds for longer periods of time, so they are able to open up the body, soothe that nervous system. This gets them into a more parasympathetic state and is very great for being able to bring down that mind and your nervous system into that point of being able to relax and understand you are safe. Because the more we hold in poses in yin yoga, the more the body's able to breathe and let go. Definitely one of the biggest game changers for me was doing yin yoga in the evening. I would also say, like, if you've got the opportunity to run a bath or a magnesium bath, then I would say just putting in some magnesium salts and being able to jump in a magnesium bath, maybe put some essential oils in or some other nice little oils that you really enjoy. Right, Arnold, you're snoring your head off, mate. Come on, boy. Whew, sweating here with that light on. So after we've brought the brainwave state down and we've got the yin yoga in, or we've done some qigong, or we've done some meditation, or we've picked just one of those, maybe we've just done a mind dump, it's all good, you don't need to do all of them. I'm saying if you are struggling really bad with sleep and cortisol is pumping through your body, then maybe just doing like all of them, or trying all of them at least, beforehand, and putting your blue blocking glasses on and doing all of the other things and jumping in a magnesium bath, you're probably going to be able to see, okay, this really works for me, or this doesn't, or this does. Try and pick what feels right to you. If you're waking up, okay, so we've gone to sleep, or we're going to sleep, we're going to the bedroom. Before we go to the bedroom, I want to say this and state this first. These are the things that I like to use as my sleep kit. So I like to use nose openers, the Breathe Right strips, and this opens up the nasal passages, so it forces more nitric oxide to the brain. More nitric oxide means deeper sleep, it means better mental health, it means less anxiety, it means better brain cognition and less brain fog, as well as immune system, and the list is literally endless. We are a nitric oxide deficient nation because we all shallow breathe too much and we breathe through our mouths. So we really want to focus on that nasal breathing. And the Breathe Right strips are really going to open up those nasal passages so you can get more of that oxygen and that CO2 release into your body and into your bloodstream. That's what's the important part there. The next thing you can probably try doing is using like a mouth tape. I use a microspore mouth tape, and the mouth tape is able to then force more nasal breathing and more nitric oxide production. Now, I will say, check with your practitioner, check with a health provider if that is the right thing for you. Like, just remember here, I don't know you personally. I would say just look into this stuff first before you just go ahead and try it, okay? If you feel okay to give it a go, then maybe give it a go. You'll still be able to breathe through either side of your mouth, but some people, depending on their jaw alignment, it may not be comfortable for them. I also use sometimes a mouth guard for certain clients, like I'll use a Snore MD mouth guard, and what that does is it's a mouth guard that puts the bottom part of the jaw on a slight forwardness incline, like an undershot jaw, so that what happens is when you are sleeping back and your head is on the pillow, when your jaw slumps back like here, your throat closes. And I've got quite a narrow windpipe. So what would happen is I'd have the mouth tape on, but my windpipe would go, and I'd be like, like I couldn't breathe, because my windpipe was so small. Arnold, so putting the mouth guard in is able to push that forward, opening up that windpipe. Okay, so nose openers, mouth tape or mouth guard, whatever feels right to you. I also would use some silicone earplugs just to block out any more noise. I know you've got the white noise on as well, but silicone earplugs, especially if you sleep with a partner next to you that may snore or may move around a lot, or you may have housemates or people around that are constantly moving around in the evening. Putting some silicone earplugs with the white noise, you're going to be sleeping like a baby, especially with the mouth tape and the nose openers. You've got good breathing through your nasal passages and you'll sleep 10 times better. If you are one of those people that are waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning or 2 a.m., 4 a.m. and you can't get back to sleep, your liver normally dumps around this time. That's going to tell me from an emotional perspective that there could be a possibility of repressed anger going on that's trying to flood its way through your body and through your consciousness. Or your body is through high cortisol. So there's high cortisol running through your day. You're busy, and there's still too much cortisol in your body. It's like, boom, I'm up, I need to do things. So the things I'm going to be looking at wanting to do then is replenish and get cortisol more balanced during your day. How are we going to do that? I'm going to look at exercises like TRE. So trauma release exercises, really for me, is chronic stress exercises release. So we're going to do those. I will put a video in there for you to watch if you want to learn how to do TRE, but you can also go and do it with a practitioner, or you can do it with me one-to-one. Now the TRE exercises is where we involuntarily shake on either side of our legs, and eventually we can start to be able to do involuntary shaking all the way up through the body, through the gut, through the spine, through the whole shoulders. So you involuntary shake and release that cortisol and adrenaline running through the body. This is great if you imagine you're sitting in a bathtub of cortisol and adrenaline. TRE is like pulling the plug out and draining some of that cortisol down. Yin yoga is great for that, but again, it's not involuntary shaking, it's not involuntary movement. I'll go more into TRE on that particular video for you. So we're going to want to look at bringing down the cortisol, and we're going to want to look at maybe blood sugars that you're having in the evening. If you're waking up at 3 in the morning, maybe you're not eating the right foods before bed, or maybe there's something going on, blood sugar regulation there. And then obviously there's the emotional component of anger repression. So finding out which one of those, we're starting to become our own sort of detective, trying to figure out which one of those it could be. There's a few supplements that I recommend if we've got some high cortisol, we're struggling with sleep. Now, the thing is with supplements, everyone is so individual and biosignature of a human. So what might work for me may not work for you. And if you are taking certain medications, you will need to check if there's any issues with that. So this is not direct advice for you. So especially if you're taking things like SSRIs, antidepressants, etc., you can't take certain things that I'm going to recommend here because they would interact and cause serotonin syndrome. So we want to make sure that we're not taking anything that is against us. You're going to have to check with your own healthcare provider and do your own research there. So the things that I like to use is melatonin is a great antioxidant. So everyone's heard of melatonin. Sometimes it can make people a bit groggy, so I always recommend taking it 2 hours before bed. So it's great to take just before when you're putting the blue light blocking glasses on. Don't take it just before bed, take it a couple of hours before. This will help with the grogginess the next day. I would also recommend their L-tryptophan. L-tryptophan, if you're not a fan of melatonin, L-tryptophan is great because it naturally is a precursor to creating more melatonin in the body and more serotonin as well. So it's great for mood the next day. And you can have anything from 500 milligrams all the way up to 1,500 milligrams of tryptophan. It's basically what's in a turkey. If you've ever had a big Christmas dinner and you're tired after and you're just like, or having like a carb coma, it's most of the time it's going to be from the tryptophan in the turkey. Some of my other favorites, ashwagandha. Ashwagandha's great. It helps to regulate, modulate cortisol. Only problem here is you want to cycle ashwagandha. You don't want to be on it all the time. So if you are going through high cortisol, high stress, that you know there's going to be an end to it, maybe just taking a bit of ashwagandha for the period of time. I'm a fan of Super Feast's ashwagandha because I just like their values and their philosophies around it and the way that they establish their herbs. I would always only recommend using that for short periods of time because blunting cortisol constantly can also be not a good thing, and you want to get to the root of what's causing the cortisol and the nervous system dysregulation in the background. Other things I like is L-theanine. L-theanine is great for GABA stimulation and just calming the brain if you've got a bit of OCD or your mind's just going over and over and over again. L-theanine is great for calming and soothing the brain. It's like a balm. As well as glycine. Glycine is great for gut. It's great for nervous system. It's an amazing supplement. It's also great for just sleep. If you're taking, 4 to 8,000 milligrams, you can take upwards of 12,000 milligrams before bed. It just is a right nice big soother. And of course, magnesium. Magnesium, I think everyone should take magnesium. Some people take glycinate. I personally tried glycinate for long periods of time, but I felt that it did the glycine or the glycinate in it sometimes speeded up something called glutamate, which made my brain race a little bit more. So I'm trialing with magnesium threonate, which is a bit more expensive, and malate. So just trying a different magnesium complex for you is also going to be great. So we've got magnesium, ashwagandha, we've got L-theanine, we've got L-tryptophan, and we've got melatonin. There's some great stacks there that you can use that's going to help you get off to sleep, rather than using pharmaceutical sleeping pills that have terrible sort of reactions to your body. And of course, things like having teas. Like I've got a chamomile tea here in my big Viking cup, and I will have a chamomile tea just an hour or so before bed. Very calming. Maybe chuck in a passion flower tea as well. Both great for GABA and for soothing the brain and calming the brain down. Okay, I feel like that is a lot of information for you guys. That is a lot of information for you. Hopefully you have taken down some notes that you can go away with and try and implement. And I'd love to know in the caption, in the comments underneath, if you've got anything that what you've tried and you've tried this or it hasn't worked, or any of your sleep struggles that I might be able to help with. Happy sleeping. Thank you so much. Love you all.